So based on the discussion during the gap analysis presentation last semester, there were some changes that were made to that last page of the gap analysis sheet, which was really the area where most people had the frustrations, confusions, or just didn't like the way that it was set up. So to honor that process, those changes hopefully reflect kind of what people were saying they needed to see for this to be more real and authentic. So if you scroll down to the bottom of this new gap analysis sheet revised 1.6.16, you'll see that it's been the focus has been narrowed from 9 weeks down to 2 weeks. And just to kind of show what that difference looks like, looking back at the old one, you had this 9-week schedule, and a lot of people did not feel that that was workable. So this new one is 2 weeks where there's a breakdown for each day. And just to clarify, the expectation is not that that whole day will be devoted to reteaching those 2 or 3 standards that were identified as needing to be retaught. It's more just a quick activity like Bell Work, mini lesson, quizzes, tests, or something similar. Now, what it says here is for each day, identify how standards will be retaught, specify the standards and the type of activity that will be used to reteach them. What we did is we adjusted the exemplar as just to show an example of what this could look like. We had 3 standards that had been identified as ones we wanted to reteach: independent and dependent variables within a hypothesis, crafting problem statements, and identifying evidence in an argument. So for each day, we just focus on one of those standards. And for the activity, in this case, for Monday, our Bell Work is going to be about this standard here. Tuesday, we're going to do a little mini lesson on this standard of crafting a problem statement. And that could be 10 minutes, could be 15, whatever. And then Wednesday, we're going to do the same thing as Monday, where our Bell Work will be focused on this standard. And then Thursday, we'll do a mini lesson on evidence. Friday, there'll be an exit ticket on both evidence and crafting a problem statement, just as a check for understanding. Now, there's some repetitiveness to that because that's just real. That's how our week is going to work. But that's valid and that's authentic. And then the next week, we adjusted the focus a little bit, but you'll notice that there's similarities. Now, what this does is it gives any outside stakeholder who wants to provide that accountability piece, like the principal or assistant principal or activities director, whoever, they have this sort of roadmap where they can know that if they go in on that given day, that they can expect to see this happen. The understanding is that there'll have to be some discussion where they'll have to check in and be like, okay, you're going to do this mini lesson, is that going to be towards the beginning of the lesson or what? And so this is not the end-all be-all, but it gives a starting point for people to be communicating and for there to be that accountability piece. So that is sort of the expectation that goes into this last page of the gap analysis. And the hope was that this is really responding to that feedback around this prior way of doing it that people were saying just wasn't authentic. So this is the new expectation, and it's the gap analysis sheet revised 1.6.16, and this and the exemplar should be attached to this email.